Hi, how are you? So I'm gonna walk you through my project right here, and the reason I chose to do this project is actually based on something I've done with both my classes. I've taught fourth grade and I've taught first grade, and something I realized very quickly when I get into geography units with both those classes was that the kids didn't have a good sense of where they lived, where the town they lived in, the surrounding areas. They knew where their house was, they knew where the school was, but they didn't know where it was in relation to the town they live in or other surrounding areas. So I didn't have a lot of technology in either of those classes, so we wound up drawing and making our own maps. But this project here for the class has a cool little technology spin on it. So what I did was I started off by going to Google Earth. And Google Earth's really cool because Google, I spent a lot of time mapping almost every centimeter of the planet and doing a lot of really cool things and presenting it in a 3D way. So load up the Earth here, and what I wanted the kids to do was go to the town that they lived in. So for this purpose, I live in Livingston, so go to Livingston, New Jersey, and it's going to zoom into Livingston right here. And what I loved about Google Earth is this red line here that it puts on the border of the town. I absolutely love that feature. And what I did in the other classes, or in my classes actually, where there was no technology, was I would put it on the board, I'd make it really big, and the kids would come up with a piece of paper and just kind of like trace it, or they could choose to draw it freehand, like as best as they could. So we all had a pretty accurate representation of the shape of the town that we lived in. So right here, pulled up the town, and the other thing I did was I made sure that the map style was set to clean, because if you put some of the other stuff on, there's roads all over it, there's labels all over, and kind of all of a sudden it becomes hard to see where the town is. So I just made it just like that, just because I wanted to focus on, with these elementary kids, I wanted to focus on their town, not the other surrounding towns, just the one that they live in. So after that, I had you take a screenshot. So I'll just draw a little box around it here. And there's my map, and that is what activity one was, just kind of finding your town on Google Earth and taking a screenshot of it. Now, as soon as that was done, I had you go to Google Drive. And because I wanted you to mark where these places are, so go to Google Drive and make a new Google drawing. It's blank. In the Google drawing, insert the picture that you just took a screenshot of, and it brings it into Google Drive. Now I want you to find two places on it, your house and where your school is. So if you don't already know those things, I know because I've done this a few times now, but if you didn't know where those places were, I had you go to Google Maps. And what's cool about using Google Maps and Google Earth in this activity is Google Earth gives you that 3D look. You know, if I zoom in really far to Google Earth, see all the individual houses here being built, and they all have like a texture to them, and there's a street view in Google Earth, so there's like a 3Dness, almost a realness to Google Earth that's pretty cool. Google Maps has that, but it's buried. So regular Google Maps is just a flat map. That's all it is. And I wanted you to be able to find places on this map, because when you pull a map up on your phone, when you pull a map up on a computer to read, this is what you're going to be looking at for the most part. So the first thing I had to look at was your house. I'm not going to pull that up here on the computer, but I know about where it is in Livingston. So I could go to Insert, Shape, and I just draw an arrow. That's not the arrow I wanted to draw. I'll zoom in a little bit too, it's a little small. Insert, Shape, Arrow, Up arrow. Just kind of draw it out on the map and move it around. I live like in this neighborhood over here somewhere. After that was done, you could change the shape of it, you could change the color of it, the fill. I just made all of them white, but you could have made it a different color. Draw a text box under it, and then type my house. Can't see that, so let's change the color to white. Now, the student looking at this can tell, okay, if this town right here is Livingston, then my house would be in that little spot of Livingston, almost in the bottom left corner of it. I want to look at the school, and this is where Google Maps comes in. A lot of kids don't know exactly where their school is in the town. So you could look it up. It's in my recent searches, but I went to Livingston High School. So that zooms it in right here. I pan back out a little bit. I could see now Google Maps no longer highlighted the shape of the town, so I have to kind of figure out where it is on the map and relate it. So I see that Livingston Mall is over here. I see the oval, that little green circle is there, and the high school is right behind that. So if I go back to my drawing, I could see that little circle in the middle of my map for Livingston. That's Livingston High School. Let's draw my arrow. Arrow's made. Put it about right there. Make it a little smaller. There we go. Now they're both the same size. Well, it said they were, but they don't look like do they? There. Now they're the same size. Cool. Let's change that and add a text box again. Obviously, Livingston High School needs a little more room than I gave it. Into that. And we'll change the color over here. All of a sudden, I can't seem to click on things. There we go. And we'll change it to white. And that was it. That was the whole project. I had you save it and put it in the shared Google Drive folder that I have on the website. And I think this could be a really cool project. Like if someone misses what we're doing in class that day and they're homesick or they just need a little extra instruction, it's something they could do on their own time, playing around with it. You could play around with Google Maps, Google Earth. There's so many cool things that both those programs do. This was a really, really basic overview into using both those programs. I wanted my students to get familiar with some of those tools. But yeah, hopefully in the future I'll have a class with a little more technology in it where I'll be able to do this exact project.